My gifted brain causes sleep issues, and my son has this problem too. So, why is this? What's the biological reason that so many of us that are gifted have sleep issues, and what can we do about it? Hi guys, I'm Kathleen Lewis. I am a gifted person, and yes, my son's a gifted person too. And we just recently found this out within this last year. So we're on a learning curve, finally trying to understand the why behind the issues or the experiences that we have. And yes, there is a biological reason for why gifted people frequently have insomnia issues. And that is all because our brain is fundamentally wired differently. So from what I've read, we with gifted brains have, yes, more thinking, faster thinking, and that all works together to get us caught inside our brains thinking. I'm going to illustrate it to you like this. Imagine, if you will, the aerial view of the map of Salt Lake City. So the road system there, that is the typical brain. It is well organized, it makes sense, and the flow is easy. Everybody can get to where they want. And then towards the end of the day, the traffic flow, while it is very busy because it is a city, of course, winds down because people are going home to sleep at night, and eventually the traffic essentially stops. So contrast that well-organized typical mind with the gifted brain of Atlanta. Atlanta is, yes, a bigger city. The road network is a little bit more crazy. Some of the road system doesn't even make sense unless you know the reasoning behind why the road went there. The drivers are going to be a lot more aggressive, a lot faster, quite frankly, crazier with some of the maneuvers they do. It's just got a busier pace in general than Salt Lake City. And towards the end of the day, when most people would think, okay, things are going to start quieting down, instead the people there are not busy with their normal work or daily tasks or whatever, so they go out and do what they love to do best. So this is where the illustration breaks down. But all these people just get on the road and drive, since they just love to drive in this brain. And they go fast and furious. The roads might be even more clogged in the evening than they were in the day because there's nothing to keep them occupied. And that's what's going on in the gifted brain when you're trying to go to sleep. The physical aspect, the mundane aspect of life isn't there to distract you anymore. So your brain has free reign to do what it really wants to do, and that's think. So eventually, all those millions of people congesting the roads, growing crazy at night, realize they're all about to run out of gas within the 5-minute time frame, and that's when they head home. So you go from crazy to dead within 5 minutes, which is not how a typical city works. So the point is, gifted brains have a lot more mental energy, and we need to do something with that energy. So most likely that just ends up with us spinning our wheels. Get it? Traffic, wheels. Yeah, gifted people also love wordplay type humor. If you want to know more about that, check up in the iCards for that video. Okay, so with all this activity, do we ever go to sleep? And how is that possible? Well, that's where the insomnia plays in, because a lot of us adults, and quite frankly kids, have a hard time shutting that down at night and can be up till like midnight or 1 or 2 or 3 a.m. and then of course be a wreck tomorrow, so that just throws out your life and everything. So here are my tips on how to help you or your kid overcome those sleep issues. First up, and probably the most important for me, is to have an outlet for that mental energy to spend that gas, if you can say it, if I can say it that way. So for me, that looks like if I'm lying there at 11 o'clock at night with my brain going with an amazing idea for YouTube, I get up and write it down or roll over and get it on my phone. If my big emotions are coming into play and connecting with my big brain, and both of those working together just send me into a spiral at night, I get up and journal it. Journaling emotions, journaling thoughts out is a huge way to deal with that side of our brains. And then of course, there's just the giant list of to-dos tomorrow. Write it down, get it out there so you don't have to worry about forgetting it. So the second big thing, which should be a no-brainer for most of us, is to avoid stimulants like coffee, or in my case, chocolate. I don't always do well with that because chocolate is my emotional support and my stress relief, and I'm just plain old addicted to it. If you're finding this video helpful, go ahead and bump that like button and let me know it. Other stimulants include things like computer screens. Like for me, watching a movie till 10 o'clock at night, I know I just have to plan on being awake until 11:30, midnight, somewhere around there. Third idea for you, which is really important for kids in particular, but it also helps me, is to have an evening routine. Do something that signals to your brain, because your brain can so be trained to act a certain way. Do something that signals to your brain it's time to sleep. So for me, that can be a white noise. I have a air cleaner on in here that I turn on all seasons. So I have the white noise in the background, limiting distractions. I also try to read in the evening, which does great with mental regulation. And you'll notice from my stack of books that I do have a wide range of interests, and that is so typical of gifted people. We don't have specific interests we stick with. So yeah, that'll be a video for another time. For my son, I have room darkening curtains in his room. That helps with eliminating distractions because we have bigger sensory input than the typical brain. Combine that with the white noise. Those are both great cues for his brain. It's time to go to sleep. And then I have headphones for him to listen to as well, so he can enjoy a book at bedtime. Probably the most important thing about establishing a sleep routine is establishing a specific bedtime for both you or your kid, no matter what age you are, because your body, your biological clock is being trained to go to sleep around a particular time and wake up around a particular time. And if you keep that within a 1 hour window, your body should help contribute to you being able to go to sleep. So the final tip I have for you is ways to hijack your brain. Now you can do this two ways. One is some biological interference. So we're talking a warm cup of milk, or in my case, a nice relaxing cup of chamomile tea or some kind of sleep tea. Drinking lots of water during the day helps, because I did not realize this until I was pregnant, but dehydration can contribute to insomnia. Also making sure you exercise at some point during the day. Do some kind of physical activity so your body is physically tired. That will help contribute to shutting down your brain. And of course, if you're up in the middle of the night and you can't get to sleep, deep breathing always will help too. Just sitting there trying to slow down your system physically, and also that focuses your mind a little bit on your breath and helps shut down your mind. One last thing for the physical regulation of hijacking your brain is to maybe do some light cleaning, some kind of light activity. You're not trying to get your heart rate up, but you're just trying to spend some of that energy you got in your system. If that works for you, spending some of that energy, then try to take it down to the next level and maybe read a book. And that's my next suggestion, hijacking your brain space, your thinking, to a lower level. So like I said, in the evening, I read books. If I can't go to sleep at like midnight or 1 a.m., I get up and intentionally read a little bit more boring book that I'm not interested in, something that is an easy read that I don't mind putting down. This last idea is a little bit different. If you think it's too out there, just call me weird down in the comments. I don't mind, I admit it. I'm calling it a non-active meditation, if I can say it that way. Think of it like counting sheep, or a version of that, which gifted people can't count sheep because that will just drive our brains crazy and probably speed up the mental activity. But instead, I tell myself a story. Now, this is not a time for perfectionism. This is not something that I'm ever going to share with anyone else. I give my imaginative brain free rein to come up with all the crazy ideas at once in this storyline that I continue for months at a time. And I can go back and edit and delete and then tweak characters. And yeah, these things go on for months, if not years, and I come back to stories. It's all for my entertainment. It's something for me to bring my brain back to and think, no, focus on this, instead of wandering all these other ways. So if I keep bringing my brain back to one specific thing that doesn't matter a whole lot in the long run, that I'm never gonna need to use or show to anyone else, it's a way for me to count sheep, gifted style. So I started that when I was probably around 8 years old. I started young. So your kids can do this too. You can have your kids mentally tell themselves a story at night, or retell themselves a story to help them go to sleep. Focus on one that they already know. If that's a bit weird, I admit it. Let me know in the comments if you think I am weird, if you think I'm crazy, or if you have another quirky idea like that. Let me know in the comments too, because all of us need some tips on how to deactivate our brains and finally get to sleep. I got chocolate covered salted caramels today. They're amazing.